When have I ever been late? Seems a little late. When have I ever been late? Anyway, 7 p.m. Eastern. On time, as always. Welcome to the Sunday night live stream, everyone. Starting with S&P futures, little green, basically flat over the weekend. But it's one of those weekends. Didn't have a ton of economic news. Big thing, and we'll talk about it, was Warren Buffett buying Google, AI bubble, all those guys smoking crack. Meanwhile, Warren Buffett going in hard, coming in, maybe his last trade before he retires, buying like 3 or 4 billion in Google. Love to see it, especially because a lot of you guys know about a month ago, Google was my number one swing trade of the week. Well, me and Ben using Iris. So it's kind of funny. A lot of people, I mean, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. But I think, you can fact check me on this. I think Warren bought like 17 million shares of Google. He's got to build that position over time. Okay. It's not like, buying 100 shares where you just use a market order for 100 shares and you get filled, as like a small trader. When you're buying 17 million shares, you got to build that position over time. Funny enough, again, Google was that number one Iris swing trade of the week post earnings a few weeks ago. I wonder if old Uncle Warren started buying about the same time, because, to get 17 million shares, it's going to take a while to build that position. So because of that, I wonder if Warren started, maybe Uncle Warren was listening to Iris. Maybe he was listening, maybe. So anyway, let's get over to the agenda. I got too many windows open. Did I close it? Must be I closed it. I got too many freaking windows open. All right. There we go. There it is. So key points from last week. Government shutdown finally ended. I never knew it happened. Did anybody else even know the government shut down? I completely missed it. It was like the tree falling in the forest, and I was never there to hear it. I don't know. I kept hearing rumors that the government was shut down, but I couldn't tell. That being said, government shutdown ended. Now, the only thing that really did affect us is we were lacking the data. We weren't getting the jobs numbers, inflation, housing numbers that we normally get. And they're talking like we won't get them at all, but whatever. They're all fake anyway. We always know. I mean, they always cook the books on all these economic numbers. So outside of that, didn't really affect us, but nice to see we'll start getting those in a timely manner. NASDAQ had its heaviest sell-off in about a month, but we had kind of that push into the end of the week. Big names like NVIDIA and other AI heavyweights kind of weighed on that sell-off. But I think it's just a lot of people taking profits because we got NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday, right? I don't want to misquote that. I got my notes in front of me. Yeah, Wednesday after the close, NVIDIA earnings. And I think it's just a lot of people taking off risk ahead of that, which is smart. When you look at, I think a lot of times people, you see the, sell off in NVIDIA and some of these stocks. I mean, it's just smart trading at the end of the day. I mean, if you're up massive amounts, and who knows what the reaction to earnings is going to be on Wednesday. And I think a lot of it was simply that, just people pairing their positions, especially, big money traders, hedge funds, etc. It's basically impossible not to be up huge on NVIDIA. Book some profits, which increase, selling when there's more sellers than there's buyers, price is going to trend lower. And I think that's what we saw last week. Simply people taking off risk, big position traders into earnings because, earnings are a crapshoot. Now, I expect good numbers out of NVIDIA, and I expect a big reaction post earnings. But then these guys, this is the thing, whether you're a small trader or a big trader, you can always just rebuy. Like, I think a lot of people kind of fall into this mindset where they buy stocks and they just latch onto them and like hold them no matter what. I mean, take off risk, book profits. If the reaction to earnings is negative, well, then you just leave it alone. If the reaction to earnings is positive, simply rebuy. Okay, like you don't have to be married to these positions. So that being said, saw a little bit of the profit taking on that. A lot of you guys asking my feel on Palantir. Listen, I laid it all out Friday. I actually feel a little bad in hindsight. You know, last week on Schwab TV, I went hard on Michael Burry and his moronic short. And just a couple days later, the poor guy took his ball and went home, closed his fund. Closed his fund. You know, now he's like launching a blog or something. I don't even know. But anyway, hit that Schwab TV link from Friday. Laid out my opinion on both Tesla, NVIDIA, and Palantir. Just for the sake of time, you know, there's no real, you know, I see a lot of guys asking about those three names. It was all, I mean, nothing's changed from Friday. You can simply watch that video from Friday. So for the sake of time, I know a lot of you guys watch those. FYI, every Friday until they fire me. You know, at some point, I figure Schwab will probably fire me. They are talking about giving me a show. But at some point, you know, what separates me from everybody else in financial media is I'm honest and I say what I think. Like everyone else that goes on these shows, it's all spin. You know, they're talking their book or they got some agenda. You know, I just shoot, as they say. So at some point, I'm sure they'll probably fire me. But right now, every Friday, I come on about 11:10 a.m. Check it out. Actually, really like the two hosts, Marley, or the host. She's the host, Marley. She's really cool. And Rick Ducat. I like his technical analysis breakdown. So anyway, so just to not repeat everything I already said on Palantir, NVIDIA, and Tesla, just hit that link, check it out. So shutdown's over, but the data fog will continue to weigh on us a little bit. And then AI valuations, I think we're just getting started. Now, you know, I go back to what I've been talking about for months, everyone calling the AI bubble. I mean, remember, you've heard me use this quote a million times that a bubble is just a bull market you're not participating in. So you go back a month ago, you know, I was all over, you know, using that quote. You guys have heard me say it a million times. And I really think that, you know, you go back to Warren Buffett, I mean, like, I'm sure you guys know this. I mean, Warren typically avoids like high multiple stocks, technology stocks. I mean, and you think everyone that's calling it a bubble, well, arguably the smartest investor of all time, Warren. I mean, look at that chart of Google, and he's buying it. He's buying a straight parabolic chart. So now maybe Warren's wrong. Okay. I mean, it's not like, I mean, as much as I respect Warren's track record, I mean, he's gotten stuff wrong. I mean, no one is perfect in trading. I mean, you can't, you know, they call him the Oracle of Omaha, but he's had losing trades. I mean, it's not like he has a 100% win rate. But I think it's a big indictment to all these Twitter geniuses, you know, that have been calling AI a bubble. Meanwhile, the greatest, I mean, he's either the greatest or top three greatest, is buying a straight parabolic chart on one of the biggest AI plays out there. And then on top of that, Stanley Druckenmiller too. You know, as much as I respect Warren, I think like for what we do, all of you should study Stanley Druckenmiller, because Stanley to me is much more analogous. Did I pronounce that properly? But what Stanley does is more analogous or applicable, there we go, to what we do, because he's more of a trader. You know, you guys know Warren Buffett. He's more of a position trader. He's buying stuff for years and for decades. Stanley, much more. And also what Warren is, I don't even know if Warren looks at charts. Okay. Like I don't think he really does much like technical analysis. What we do is probably 80% technical, 20% fundamental. Warren's probably 95%. I don't even know if he looks at a chart. He's all book value, looking at the business. He's, again, I'm making up these ratios, but he's probably like 95% fundamental versus if he does any technicals. Now, where Stanley, what I like is much more like what we do, back to that kind of 80-20 fundamental and technical. Almost all of what his decisions are based on the charts. He's famous for, I like to say, looking at charts till your eyes bleed. He's famous for doing in-depth technical analysis. So if you're not familiar with Stanley Druckenmiller, study him. I think he's a great one to kind of look to emulate when it comes to the technical side of things. And again, he bought a bunch of Google at the same time. So that being said, feature stock of the week. Iris first recommended it as a buy, as I mentioned, at 250. Went to the 290s. What's it trading at right now? In the 270s. That big move after hours. 280s. Was trading in the 270s during the day. And then the news came out after the close and ripped almost to 290. So this was a buy from Iris in the 250s about a month ago, sitting fat and happy on that swing trade. But listen, love this for week open ready greens and afternoon VWAP holds into next week for those of you that didn't buy it when Iris said. Now, why do I love it? They're the leader in AI and cloud. Listen, I'm sure all of you guys have, I'm sure all of you guys are using Google Docs and, and Gmail and Google Drive. It's hard to you can choose other options. They have competitors, but in my opinion, when it comes to cloud email and Docs and Drive, they're the leader. They kick everybody's butt. Obviously, search kind of continues to decline, but they own everything else. And then what I love about it is, they're investing massively in infrastructure. The $40 billion in Texas. Okay. So what's nice about, Google, much like Amazon, I don't know if you call it a picks and shovels plays, but, all of these other AI plays use them as the underlying infrastructure, use their data centers. So they're investing hard. I think Google's, and this is another thing a lot of people talked about when it comes with Warren Buffett investing. I think Google's spending more than anyone when it comes to infrastructure. Now you can fact check that, but they're burning dollars to build infrastructure for the future. And I think, even though Warren sees all that money being spent, he's going to buy this position for the long term. And, again, you can listen. It's one thing to be like, hey, Tim, I don't agree with Iris. Hey, Tim, I don't agree with you. Hey, that's fine. But you want to disagree with Warren? So anyway, still seen as one of the most reasonably valued big AI names. The forward PE way below a lot of the AI chip plays and a lot of the large language models, and they own the internet at the end of the day. So that being said, still like it. As I said, week open ready greens and afternoon VWAP holds. Now, speaking of the week open ready green pattern, hopefully all of you guys are taking advantage of the archives. Now, I know a lot of you can't be here every week, but 2 weeks ago, we went over GSAT, GSAT, and actually, let me share my screen. Share screen, entire screen right there, share. So GSAT 2 weeks ago, I really kind of got in depth on the kind of use of that pattern. We really use that for those stocks that end the day strong. And because of that, we actually got a week open red to green. I think it was on Tuesday after that. And then GSAT's just been on a tear. Broke out Wednesday, retested that level on Thursday, retested that level on Friday. And basically that 65.70 breakout level, if it can bust that, I think it's just all blue sky from there on GSAT. So look here. Okay, got it. So anyway, GSAT, look for similar type patterns on Google. So that's kind of the number one swing trade, longer term idea. Now, a lot of you asked about the rest of the watch list. Very swing heavy last few weeks. CSIQ was a rollover. That thing just keeps pushing. Very strong. Love this stock. Just keeps pushing and pushing. Broke out on Friday. This was also on the watch list a week ago, and that was because it was an Iris idea. And then Google and GSAT both rolled over. I think those two are just getting started. And then when it comes to speculative plays, CYCU, 2-minute trader, the dip and rip algo, caught this one on Friday with an entry of $5.70. And actually, let me zoom in. So the dip and rip algo looks for these types of stocks, these kind of random midday spikers. CYCU was basically doing nothing in pre, no volume, nothing going on, then ripped up at about 10 a.m. and then consolidated, and then which is the dip, and then hit the rip area in the 570s and went to 7. So love using that pattern. If you're unfamiliar with the dip and rip pattern, you can go to the channel. There's probably 20 dip and rip videos on the pattern. But that being said, CYCU held up pretty good into after hours, faded, but then based kind of in the 550s. So my hope is that CYCU becomes that morning fader, that stock that fades into the open, and then we use the Oracle signal for entries. And then NAMM, very similar. This was a big spiker in after hours. They had some news and spiked up, really struggled with that 183 area. And so we're two ways to approach NAMM, looking for that break of the major resistance, that bright green line, and then risk the lower consolidation area. That would be the aggressive trade. What I hope NAMM does is that morning fader. So it just kind of fades lower, lower, lower all through pre, and then we use the Oracle signal for entries on that one as well. Let me jump back over here and over here and over here. And yeah, so went through Google. Let's run through we got a bunch of big earnings. So let's run through the earnings calendar this week. And let me get my notes going, actually. Forgot to do notes. Oops. And we are, it is, so Sunday night market brief. And it is 11/16/2025. So we got, tomorrow morning, nothing of that much interest. Tomorrow night, yeah. So Tuesday morning, yeah. Tuesday night. We had a great week last week. We're kind of getting to the tail end of earnings season. Then Wednesday morning. And then obviously Wednesday. So I guess, we got Wednesday night, NVIDIA. Everyone's going to have their eyes on that. PanW, Wednesday night as well. That's usually been a volatile stock. Thursday morning, Walmart will be an interesting one. Not really for a trade, but more just kind of like how the economy is doing. And afternoon, yeah. And then Friday, yeah. So really about the only thing to watch earnings-wise, all eyes going to be on NVIDIA Wednesday night, PanW also, and then Thursday morning, Walmart, more just from a big picture type idea. Yeah, so I was talking about Stanley Druckenmiller. Let me scan the comments here. See what I missed. Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Welcome, my man. I have not gotten a buck yet this year. Now, remember, and a lot of you guys know this, I've got 120 acres of hunting land at this piece. I own a couple other pieces, but, we do management. Okay. So we have target bucks that, we will shoot, but very selective. So both my son and I, so nothing yet. There's plenty of bucks I could have shot easily, but we're very selective. So, yeah, and Stanley Druckenmiller was the guy I was mentioning. Listen, guys, the winter arc, I gave up. Now, I didn't give up. I'm still following all of the criteria. I invited people to join. 2 people joined, and they've already both dropped out. When it comes to the daily updates, I don't know. So I thought it was a cool idea. It's one of those things that, it's kind of disappointing, but I guess I fall into this trap every now and then that I think it's almost, it's almost a Pollyanna thing. I want people to be as driven as I am. And this is, I'm probably going to get flamed for this. Flame away. But there is a crisis of commitment in this country, in work ethic. I guess I just listen to me stutter. I sound like Sandler and Billy Madison. I always think that man, everyone wants to get better. Everyone wants to be in the best possible shape they can be. And everyone wants to be as productive as they can be. And everyone wants to accomplish things every day and get done with the end of the day and be like, holy shit, I got a lot done today. I got better. I got smarter. I got faster. I got stronger. I learned, I grew, I read all these things. I became a better person, a better father, a better mentor, a better role model, a better, husband, but there's just a lack of commitment, and I don't know. I tried and I failed miserably. So the few people that joined saw what I was expecting them to do, and I basically didn't hear from anybody. So, I tried. Failed miserably, but is what it is. I guess, again, I guess I thought more people were wired like me, but come to find out, it's just, nope. Most people just like unfortunately, most people would prefer just to stay the same, to just be average. Like the most unattractive thing to me is to be average. Like that's why I always say you can, no one will ever outwork me, but I don't know. It's a bummer. I it is what it is. So, and okay, so let me jump back to the agenda here. Yeah, and let me look at the calendar. We might be pretty well caught up. So hit me with any last minute questions. But I ran through the calendar, ran through the watch list, went over Google, went over my opinions on AI and the bubble. Pally, P-A-L-I. Crappy penny stock, but let me share the chart. Let me go here. Whoops, not that one. This one. Pally. That's a nice looking chart for a crappy penny stock. So, man, well, what I would say, those of you asking about Pally, look at that. So, and this is where Oracle comes in very handy. Bright green line. Okay. Everyone see the bright green line. Major resistance of 221. And what I like about it on all three time frames. So basically what I would say, those of you asking about Pally, man, if it busts that 221 level, love it. Now it's struggled there for basically 2 months, but this thing sure looks like it wants to bust 221. So, and listen, flat out, pretty nice looking chart for a true penny stock. So kudos to whoever called this one out. Hey, you don't usually see that strong a chart in a crappy penny stock biotech like Pally. So I'll keep an eye on it. Listen, flat out, kind of flew under my radar, but kudos to whoever threw that one out. CY, a lot of you guys asking about CYPH. In my opinion, the time to buy CYPH was, basically Friday morning at, whoops, where is it? Oh, whoops, I unshared my screen. So CYPH, to me, the time to buy it was Friday morning at 9:36 a.m. So the Oracle signal came out at 9:33. I sent this to everyone in the daily income trader system. 3 minutes later, a few minutes after that, it hit the entry, and we all know what CYPH did. So that's my opinion. So now, what I would say, obviously, this is Friday morning, okay? But to me, tomorrow, I think very high likelihood CYPH becomes a morning fader. We'll just reuse the Oracle signal again. But remember, this trade plan, both the entry, the stop loss, and the profit target were all mapped out by the Oracle algorithm. I didn't, this trade alert, like, it was all done by the algo. I didn't, all I did was take the values that the algo gave and then sent this to members. So everyone on Friday knew that CYPH was a buy at $2.08 and, ended up having a pretty conservative target on it, but went to $3.55. So the target was high twos, even 3+, and it went right there. So, and then I actually kind of forgot about this. Monday, whoops, why does my screen keep on sharing? I don't know what I'm doing. Speaking of, we often end this with what's the number one play for Monday morning. Remember, my friends, I end pretty much every Sunday night YouTube the same. And I say tomorrow morning, the number one play is going to be an RCT between 7 and 9 a.m. And last Monday's RCT was move at 12:33. So in summary, what's the number one stock for tomorrow? I don't know what the ticker is. Okay. I don't know what the ticker is, but I'll tell you what the pattern is. And I'll tell you the criteria. Move Monday morning, had news, crazy low float stock, went straight parabolic move, went from $5 to 13, put in the first red candle, and the top of that body of that candle was $12.33. It pulled back for about 10 minutes and then broke that level. It's all right here. Monday morning, right there, move 12.33. Targets 16, 17, 18, all the way up to 20, and move went to 20. So move hit all of the price targets all the way up. So tomorrow, I don't know what the ticker is, but I'm going to tell you, the number one stock is going to be the exact same setup as move. It's going to be all the same criteria. And you look at move with that 12.33 entry and it hit every single target all the way up. Targets at 16, 17, 18, and 20+, and it went to 21. And in pre-market, it went to 19. So that's the pattern to look for. That's the setup. Thank you, my friends. Have a great night, and we will see you all next time. Yeah, I think I got everything. So a little bit shorter tonight, but have a great night, and we will see you next time.